Hi, welcome to Senior Moments Successful Aging. My name is Mary Beals-Luedtka, and normally I'm your host. Today we have a different host for the show, but before that, I just want to recognize that the Senior Moments show is co-sponsored by the Area Agency on Aging, NACOG, and the Division of Lifelong Learning at Yavapai College. Speaking of Yavapai College, our host for today is Dennis Garvey,
Hello.
the Dean of the Lifelong Learning Institute at Yavapai College.
Sure.
The man himself.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be still now, right?
No, because
Oh.
it would make really a short interview.
Yeah.
We're going to switch things around. Members viewing at home, you've been watching Mary. How long have you done this show?
I think 15 years.
For 15 years. And I think once before, maybe 6 years ago,
We did
I
this.
had a chance to interview you because it's important. She's in your living rooms every month, and you ought to get to know who you're inviting in. She has a tremendous background, tremendous experience, and I love being able to do this.
Thank
I
you.
have trepidation because you're so smooth at what you do, but you and I know each other well enough that we can chat. In fact, I remember the last time we did this, I had to remind you that I was the interviewer
Yes.
for the show and not you, because you tried turning the tables on me and asking a lot of questions. I didn't fall for it, and I'm ready this
Okay.
time to not fall for it again. But just for the viewers and really kind of cover the experience that you have and how much you've been involved in the field of aging. And it's wonderful to have a compadre that does this kind of stuff too. Mary's been involved in the field of aging 26 years, I recall. She started with NACOG, the Northern Arizona Council of Governments, back in 1991. And they asked her to start 3 programs: long-term care ombudsman, benefits counseling, and legal advocacy for seniors. So you're still here, 26 years. The programs didn't go that good. It took a while to put in place. Tell me about those programs.
The programs did very well.
I'm sure they did.
They did very well. However, there has been some changes in them.
Well,
so
life has changed in
life
20-something
changes. You have to,
years.
nothing can remain static. That's what I love about the field of aging. It's always growing and changing, and
Yeah.
you've got to be able to grow and be flexible with it so that you can be up with the times.
Sure.
So the Ombudsman program is alive and well, doing quite well.
Yeah. And tell me what that is.
That is advocates for those who live in licensed long-term care facilities. So a nursing home, an assisted living home, an adult foster care home. They're there, they're advocates trained and certified by the state of Arizona. It is a national organization.
Yeah.
It is in the Older Americans Act. So the Ombudsman program is very important to residents living in those facilities because they don't have someone to speak for them often, and the Ombudsman can be their voice and learn to work with the facilities to resolve issues. And maybe that issue seems small to you and me, but if somebody loses their quilt or their quilt gets taken off their bed, do you understand that their whole life is in that bedstand and that dresser and on the back of their bed? That quilt could be something someone made for them that's very, very special. And so we need to take, pay attention to those things.
Sure.
But it could be also all the way to actual abuse,
Right.
physical, financial,
Yeah.
psychological abuse.
That's a great program.
Yeah.
Because I know family members sometimes they see things and they think, well, if I speak up, then the administration's going to be like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
watch out for that one. And how are they going to take care of my loved one if I advocate and cause a ruckus? Now, that wouldn't stop my wife from doing it. I know that.
No, it wouldn't.
But
Or me.
Yeah, but it's nice to have professionally trained people to go in and be that bridge between.
And they understand what the, we call them the federal tags, the F tags are. What are the rules and regs?
Right.
When do we call into Department of Health? Because the Department of Health Services is actually the licensing agency. So we're going in there with a gun with no bullets and no smoke.
Right.
But we know what the laws are, and we can work, and most homes want to work with us. I mean, really.
Sure.
It has changed.
Yeah.
In the last 26 years, it was a lot harder back then.
Yeah.
People did resist more
Yeah.
that were running the homes, but now they see the value of it, and they want to do well,
Right.
and they want to do well by their clients. And every once in a while, we get an abuse case, but I have to say, the greater percentage of the abuse cases are family members.
Yeah, that's sad. So let's move from ombudsman benefits counseling.
Well, it started out with an SSI grant for Social Security income for those who are below the threshold, whatever that threshold is at this time,
Right.
so that they're at least, at poverty level.
Right.
And so a lot of folks didn't know about it, so it was a big grant.
Right.
So I started it with that, and then
Yeah.
it morphed into the Medicare Benefits Counseling Program. That is funded by Center for Medicare.
Right.
And we help folks with Medicare questions and really helping them become aware of what's available through
Sure.
the services of Medicare and other public benefits like SNAP, food stamps,
Right.
Arizona long-term care.
Right.
How do you access those programs? I mean, I don't know. They're very difficult. It's
Yeah.
like a black quagmire. And
Yeah.
so these are trained counselors that can help walk you through that. And they're not trying to sell you anything.
Right.
You're going to hear all kinds of, we'll help you with your Medicare, but it's an insurance company. And you
Right.
must be aware
Right.
that that is going to be somewhat biased.
Right. Here's your 5 problems. Here's your 5 solutions. Only $19.99.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't do that.
We don't do that.
Yeah, good.
We don't. We show you what your options are, lay it out for you, show
Yeah.
you what would be
Sure.
best for you. I think where we really save money for folks is in the prescription drug Part D, because people are on the wrong plan that doesn't cover their drug,
Right.
and they don't know how to change.
Right.
And also, folks that are low income don't realize there's low income subsidies that will pay for their Medicare benefit
Right.
premiums
Yeah.
and copays if they're
Wow.
of a certain income. So this year alone,
Right.
our Medicare program has put $650,000 back in the pockets of seniors in northern Arizona.
Wow.
That's a real
650,000.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
Let alone what you saved.
Well, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So this is what they're no longer having to put out because we have put them on these programs.
Wow. Is there a number? I hate to put you on the spot. Off the top of your head, that somebody right now would be like, I want to call about that.
That's easy.
Okay.
You call the toll-free number 877-521-3500. Ask for a Medicare or benefits counselor. The central intake team will connect you. They can transfer to any of my 4 offices.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Great. So then we had legal advocacy, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, although those threads run through everything you've done already,
Yeah,
education, advocacy, but tell us about that.
Well, and in reality, for the first several years, I ran all 3 programs by myself until we finally got more funding through Title VII of the Older Americans Act. But the legal program, I ended up not only supervising the Elder Rights Unit, but running that program for 13 years as a paralegal in elder law. Wow. We helped with document preparation, mediation, negotiation, helped folks, met with them one-on-one. Had a supervising attorney who, by the way, just recently retired in her mid-80s as a practicing attorney, one of the leading elder law attorneys in the state of Arizona, DeJean Testa. So kudos to her. And that was a great program. But about 3 years ago, our society is becoming so litigious.
Right.
And I felt like we were becoming a document preparation factory, and we weren't really getting into the meat of the advocacy pieces that we need to. So we now fund all the legal aid offices to do that for us.
Wow. So what if I needed legal assistance? What are some of the common things that I would bring to you and say, hey,
landlord-tenant housing issues.
Uh-huh.
What are my rights as a tenant, but also what are my rights as a landlord? We have a lot of folks that have a little duplex that they're running as part of their retirement income.
Yeah.
And they don't know what their rights are when they've got a tenant that's acting up.
Right.
What steps do they need to take to protect themselves and their investment? Also guardianship issues.
Right.
We don't do any family law, divorce, that kind of thing.
Right.
I have a funny story I like to tell about that.
Okay.
A lady came to me years ago and said, I've got to get a divorce. This man, I have to get a divorce. She was in her 90s. So I started doing the paperwork, and I'll help you at least fill out the packet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'll help
sure,
you.
yeah.
And come to find out, he had passed away.
Ah.
And I said, no, you don't need to divorce him. Yes, I do. I said, no, it ends when you pass.
Right.
So it's just people not knowing what the legalities are of things. But I'll never forget that case because it
She
was like,
wanted a divorce.
yeah, and he passed away.
Right.
So it's no, your marriage is over now.
Right.
It's already over. And she didn't understand that.
It was probably over a long time ago, depending on based on the story you're
But
telling me.
I don't know why that lie. I just cracked me up. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. We also help with living wills, medical
Yeah.
powers of attorney,
Wow.
powers of attorney, those
Right.
kinds of things.
Right.
And you can call that toll-free number, and they will guide you. They
Right.
will do an intake if they think you need to be referred to legal aid, or they'll give you other resources that you can help yourself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So 91, you came to start those 3 programs.
Yeah.
They're still going strong.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
And then in 2004, you were hired as the director. of the Area Agency on Aging.
I remember
It sounds like
that.
since you were doing most of the jobs anyway,
Yeah,
they might as well make you director.
I'll never forget the day that I got the call. It took 3 months. They did a national search.
Right.
I put my hat in the ring. I'm like, I can run this agency. I've
Sure.
got lots of ideas.
Yeah.
And the day they called me, I remember I cried, and I thought I was happy.
Right.
But I don't think I knew what I was getting myself into. I really don't.
Do we ever?
We don't. But what a journey
Right.
it has been, and still continues to be.
Sure.
So I've been director since 2004.
Wow. And you've grown the program from 12 to 40 people.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Almost
All
doubled
sorts
the
of different things.
doubled the budget, and tried to be as innovative as I can.
Right. Well, as you said, times change.
Yeah.
And so you have to stay current, you have to stay flexible, certainly knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And speaking of knowledgeable, I want to go through some of the things that you're involved in, because you're involved in quite a bit of things. 2005, you got an appointment congressional appointment to be a delegate to the White House Conference on Aging.
Yes.
Tell us about the White House Conference on Aging.
That was very collaborative. It was not at the White House, but it
Yeah.
was the first White House Conference on Aging. The president did not appear,
Mm-hmm.
nor was he involved at all, and that was
Huh.
President Bush.
Yeah.
But it was really an honor to be there. I
Right.
actually got a gubernatorial and a congressional appointment,
Right.
so I gave the gubernatorial back so they could appoint someone else
Nice,
and use
nice.
that. So
what happens?
So what happens
you
is
get there and
there's
what
lots
happens?
of, well, you again, the Congress are given a seat, the governors are given a seat for each state, and then all those representatives converge upon Washington. There are workshops and work sessions where we come up with some of the top things we want to work on, and out of that comes a paper. Then we vote. We actually have to go and vote at the end of the couple of days of work on those things. They're facilitated by professional facilitators. You pick the sessions I think that most resonate with you. Right. There's also some general sessions. It's like a huge conference, really. Right. But at the end, you actually go in a voting booth and you
Right.
vote what you think those top issues need to be coming out of the White House Conference on
Right.
Aging.
Right.
What should the White House be looking at in aging issues
Yeah.
as we move forward, and the
Right.
Older Americans Act. And so it was wonderful to be where I have voted signs, and I
Right.
still have mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it was great.
what did you think really merited our attention back
back then?
2005?
Some of the same things that still do.
Isn't that?
I mean, I'm sorry
I
to
was going to
say,
say
but
sad, but isn't that a challenge?
it's like the never-ending story.
Yeah.
It keeps going. The Sisyphus thing about the rock going up
Yeah,
the hill.
yeah.
But definitely, we were focusing on the Older Americans Act.
Yeah.
They had a
which
huge,
is the foundation
It is.
for all of aging services.
it is. And
most of the money comes through the Older Americans
yes,
Act.
all the pretty much
Meals
most of
on
the federal.
Wheels, legal services, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our Bible. That's our federal, that's our aging legislation. So focusing on that and what we wanted, looking at housing, access to services,
Right.
transportation. There was a huge Native American contingency there. So that was excellent to hear from them and what their needs are on the reservations. And there were some changes made around that, and probably still need to be.
Yeah.
So some of my interest at the time was very much into the legal end
Right.
and the advocacy end.
Sure.
And how do we be good advocates, and how do we get the word, and how do we educate the congressmen? They come, they go.
Right.
We're still here.
Right.
So we have to re-educate and do it all over again.
Right.
With the same story but a different drumbeat.
Sure.
Keep it going.
In a different time and place.
At a different time and place. Yeah.
Well, that's great. And you were speaking of Sisyphus, and that's, for those that don't remember or never were told, that's the guy that rolls the big boulder up the hill. And as soon as he gets to the top of the hill, just about it rolls back down to the bottom of the hill, and you start all over again.
Yeah.
And I can hear that in your stories that, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
We've been rolling the ball up the hill and watching it go back down, but it seems like the hill gets a little shorter each time you push the ball back up, which is the good news.
Yeah.
But that was an award from the Arizona State Coalition for Elder Abuse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love it. It's a little rock with this little stick guy.
Yeah.
It's welded, and
Yeah.
he's, pushing that rock, and I have it right where I can see it in my
Right.
office, because it reminds
Right.
me, it is a never-ending battle, but it's a battle worth fighting.
Sure. Some people would never try to push the rock.
Yeah, exactly.
They would be like, this is too hard, I can't possibly do this. But you've devoted your professional career to making that rock move.
Yep.
Even if it's an inch, it's gonna move.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. Great, great. So, and then you developed the Area Agency on Aging from 12 to 40. And these are other things you do in your spare time. And I just wanted to share them with you, with your audience that's been listening. A member of the Arizona Association Area Agency on Aging Directors. That makes sense. That's great. So you work with other counterpart people across the whole state to make sure that people in our state are getting the best services they can, given the money we've got, or even if the money's not there, back to pushing the rock up the hill. How can we make something happen?
And I think we're stronger together, so we can have a common voice in the state and help move policy. And help each other.
Right.
You know, if I've already developed something and someone else is interested, another AAA, I'm just going to share my stuff with them, because why reinvent the wheel? We all have limited resources, and it's about the greater good. So we do help each other a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the myths of working in nonprofits. There isn't a lot of money available an awful lot of times. So one of the most important thing is to look at strength-based programming. Okay, here's what we've got. It's not nearly enough, but what other strengths are in the community? And you're really good at marshaling that. But a lot of times I think people who don't understand how hard you have to work think, oh, you know, just do this and it'll work. And I remember I worked for an area agency on aging long time ago, and we had business professionals, businessmen mostly, on our board. And they were amazed that we couldn't turn $1 into $7 because the regulations didn't allow us to turn $1 into $7. You have to account for it the way it comes in. Or that the funding source halfway through the year could go, oh, we're not going to give you $125,000, we just take $80,000 back. And you know, they came in like, I'm the captain of industry, I can show you how to do this. And they'd be at the board meetings like, what? They can't do that? Like, they can. And they did.
Yeah.
Well, what are we going to do now? Well, I've been thinking about that since last January when we started the budget. So I think the nonprofit directors need attaboys and attagirls more often than they get, because it's an awful lot of hard work, and you can see it in what we've talked about so far. Arizona State Coalition on Elder Abuse, Arizona Steering Committee for AZ Link, Aging and Disabilities. Now, that's kind of a new trend, I think, of putting both those populations together.
About 4 years ago, the federal government put that together.
That's new for me at my age.
I know. So 4 years ago, so fairly new in the scheme of things.
Yes.
You know, since the Older Americans Act's been around 50 years.
Yeah.
So we've always had an administration on aging under Health and Human Services, but now it's Administration of Community Living, which combines disabilities and aging, because we do have commonalities and we have common issues.
Sure.
Just like Community for All Ages, we all need transportation, we all need certain basic human things.
Sure.
So, you know, it's been coming together for a while, and AZ Links is a state website that we feed our resources into. But there is no phone number or anything like that. You know, they don't have funding anymore.
Right.
And so we still try to keep that going and the essence of it going, so that people have a place to go. But we certainly promote our toll-free number for our region, because we keep that up to date on a regular basis.
Good.
Yeah.
Also, you're involved in Community Partners for Comfort Care.
Yes, and
Tell me
actually
about
I'm a
that.
former board member, and I have
Yeah.
staff on that now, but
Yeah.
I think comfort care and compassionate care, palliative care,
Uh-huh.
all those issues, end of life issues.
Right.
I was very involved with them for some time, and really right now I have staff going to that.
Sure.
Yeah, I can't
But
do it
that's
all.
very, very important.
Can't do it all.
Yeah.
I'd like to, because I love all these issues.
You certainly have tried to.
You know,
do that.
I know.
I'll
It's like,
give you that.
Okay. Where can I remember when I got hired as director, they said, "What do you want to hold on to from your old job as Elder Rights Unit Supervisor?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Senior Moment.
Right.
I want to
Sure.
continue doing the show."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was next on my list. See how smooth you are.
I am
what you do?
smooth.
Yeah. So tell us about this wonderful program called Senior Moment, Successful Aging.
The beginning of it is fun. Gwen Calhoun, amazing woman in Prescott Valley, had a vision to have a show. She called it Senior Moment, and she had made a long list of names of who she might ask to be her host or hostess.
Yeah.
I like to say I can be a host just as good as any man.
Sure.
And she had took it to Ann McKinley, and Ann McKinley used to be quite the force of aging here in Northern Arizona.
Still is.
The
ripples are still there.
The ripples are still here. Ann made quite
great.
an impact here. She also interned and spent a year fellowshipping with Senator McCain in Washington under aging, and was one of my mentors.
Sure.
And Gwen went to her, and she looked at the list, and she went, Mary, just call Mary.
Right.
You know, she has an entertainment background, and she knows aging, so I think it's a good marriage. So I've been the host since the beginning.
Yeah.
But I was thinking the other day, I'm thinking 15 years. I need to look that up.
Okay.
And try to figure out when exactly did we start.
Well, I've been here 15 years, and you were doing it
Before
before I
then.
got here.
So longer than 15
Longer
years.
than 15.
Longer than 15
Yeah.
years. Long time.
What do you like about doing it?
I think it's fun because I think
First
of all, for me, it's fun because I get out of the office.
Right.
And I get
your staff calls, and they're like, don't you have any tapings coming up?
Yeah, really get her out. Because a lot of, we work really hard, but I love to be able to get out and talk about what we do and hear from people that have the same passion I do.
Yeah.
And interview folks like James Fitzpatrick from the Alzheimer's Association and Yvonne from Susan J. Ream Center that have such a passion, and I think it's important that people know the depth and breadth of what we have here in this Quad City area.
Does that fill you up?
Yeah,
Is that how you get replenished by talking
helps
with
me.
people in the field?
Yeah. It does.
Nice.
And that does, and also my national work. Both of those help. I can be just flat, exhausted, stuff's going on with funding or staffing, and I go to my national boards that I'm on, and I am reinvigorated when I walk away, because we all have common issues. We come together, we help each other, and then I'm reinvigorated. Maybe that day I'm not as passionate as I normally am, which you know me, I'm passionate. But then I talk to somebody who rekindles that within me, because I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is why we're doing it.
Right.
Hold on to the vision.
Right.
What's the vision?
Yeah.
What
I think as Lily Tomlin said, I often find myself saying, somebody's got to do something about that.
Yeah.
And then I realize I'm somebody.
I love that. That's a great quote, because that's so me.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
No. Yeah, it is me. It's like, okay, we got to do something about this.
Right.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Let's organize.
Yeah.
Let's take this idea off the piece of paper.
Yes.
And make it real.
Absolutely.
Let's not just talk about it. Let's walk the walk.
Yeah. There you go. So after the television show, I think this is Wednesday afternoon, 2 to 2:15, you're on the National Organization of Area Agency on Aging Directors, a national position.
Yes.
You're squeezing that into your schedule.
Well, and actually, right now I'm on an ad hoc committee for them.
Yeah.
I was on the board for 9 years, and I rolled off as the first vice president because I was term limited, which, but they're still using me, and I love that. So I'm on a new committee called Mission Forward, and it is a think tank of aging experts from around the country. There's about 12 of us, so I'm extremely honored to be asked to go.
Sure.
And we're talking about the future of the Aging Network. How does that look? What do we need to do to modernize it? If we were going to rewrite the Older Americans Act today, what would it look like?
Right.
How is that going to look? And so we're actually looking at the bill for the next reauthorization 3 years from now. So that's what I'm doing with that.
Can you give us a hint? What do you think is?
No, pretty much right now what we're doing is confidential.
Ah.
So I can tell you the broadness of what we're doing, but what we want to do is people feel comfortable to throw things on the wall right now.
Sure.
So we're at that stage.
You're not at the judging, you're at the development.
We're on the development stage, nothing's off the table, and then we're
Right.
going to start bringing it together.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the big question, I'm sure the audience is, so what do you do in your spare time?
I sing and dance.
Yeah, you sing and dance. I've seen you do both of those.
And they think I'm being funny.
No.
But I really do.
Yeah.
Sing and dance.
Yeah.
I love that. It's a great, it's cathartic.
Yeah.
And you know that too.
I do. So here's an important question. Why do you do all this at a very personal level? Why are you doing this? I mean, with your energy and your talent and skills, you could do a lot of different things. But why is it that you work in the field of aging and work with staff and do advocacy and do education and do network building?
That's a really good question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're so good. See how wonderful you are? I was in the field of entertainment for a long time.
Yeah.
But I started my career as a nurse.
Yeah.
And I think there's always been that sense of service in me. I really took to it like duck to a water. I remember when I took a CNA training, they're like, haven't you done this before? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And then went on to nursing school and really, really liked it. And I had a series of things happen in my life that, they're the top 5 things that can happen to you for stress all happened in 1 year to me.
Oh.
And I thought, I need to get out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Singing's not enough for me right now.
Right,
I need to
right.
go back into some kind of service. And
Yeah.
it just so happened somebody said, oh, there's this job open at NACOG.
Right.
And I had worked gerontology as a nurse before.
Right.
I got
Didn't
the
you do pediatrics?
I
in the
did. I
beginning?
did newborn nursery.
Wow, that would do it.
Yeah, I went from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from beginning to end.
The Circle of Life. You want to sing that song?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
that would be,
Circle.
that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cantata. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got this job, and I don't know why. I just developed a passion right away
Right.
for the issues, especially around elder abuse. That really bothered me.
Sure.
It just bothered me,
Yeah.
and it's center
Yeah.
of my soul.
Yeah.
How could you abuse your grandmother or
Right.
an elder person? They
Right.
built our country. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really, I'm close to my family.
Yeah.
Grew up in a very close-knit farm family.
Yeah.
My great-grandparents lived with my grandma. My grandma lived with my parents.
Right.
That's the way. My mother lived with my sister.
Right.
That's how I was raised. And so I really found a passion. And I've never had a job over 2 to 4 years. Usually,
Yeah.
I moved on. I like to develop and make things happen and go. And
Sure.
here I am. So
Right.
obviously, it's still interesting.
Well, it sounds like NACOG gave you a large enough palette to play with.
Yeah.
That 26 years later, you're like, wait a minute, I got some new things coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have all sorts of ideas in my
Yeah,
head. How do we
yeah.
modernize? How do we branch out? How do we
Right.
bring new funding streams in so we aren't developing? We're not so dependent on the government because they keep cutting our funds, and my demographics are just
Right.
going up and up and up.
Sure, the population's exploding and we're cutting the funds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scary.
It's
scary
sort of
times.
the old if you don't build it, they won't come
Yeah.
method of programming, which
You know.
never works.
And that's another reason why I love this show is the awareness,
Yeah.
of aging issues. And our favorite saying is, if aging's not your issue, it will be.
Right.
So, and I say
Yeah.
that to elected officials all the time. Get on
Sure.
board.
Yeah, yeah. So Mary, we've established that you are an expert in the field and that you have a wide and deep range. There's some people have a wide but kind of thin. You've got a wide but deep range of experience. What do you think the best advice you could give for successful aging is?
Oh, I love that question because
Thanks
it's
again.
about being. You're so good. Pat yourself on the back.
Well, I've watched you do this. So.
It's about embracing life. Age isn't. It's not a number. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 63 this
Yeah.
summer, and everyone's like, "Oh, you can't be 63." I said, "I'm 63, and I'm dang proud of
There
it.
you go.
I worked to get
This
here.
is what it looks
This
like.
is what it looks like, honey."
Give them a
And,
snap at the end of it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, what notion do you have of it? Am I supposed to have, be in a rocking chair and
Right.
knitting or something? I don't even know how to knit.
You could have no hair, gray hair.
I mean, whatever. Oh yeah, like that. So it's about being healthy
Yeah.
in your mind, body, and soul. I
Right.
think all those pillars have to come together.
Right.
If you're not healthy and you don't have a good outlook, and I think you have to have a purpose.
Right.
If you don't have a reason to get up in the morning, then you're going to fail. If you don't have social connections and you're with other people and you're contributing what you have
Right.
and you're learning every day.
Sure.
That's about how to age successfully, in my
Purpose
opinion.
and meaning.
Purpose and meaning and being healthy
Right.
in your mind and your
Right.
body and your soul.
Right. Well, this was fun.
It
I
was
think we're
fun.
nearing our end here.
Already?
And I'm glad to be able to let your audience know the kind of
Thank you.
background you have and what the impact you've had on the region and nationally, because you're a treasure for us and people should know about that.
Thank you.
Do we have an outro to do? Says
Thank
the guy who
you.
doesn't know what he's
For
doing.
I'll do it. Thank you for joining us today on Senior Moment. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions about the show, call toll free at 877-521-3500. Thank you, Dennis Garvey, for interviewing me today.
My pleasure.
I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka. This is Senior Moment, Successful Aging. Until next time.